Hey guys, this video is a little bit different to my normal videos. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to code. So if you like this video and you want more of this, let me know in the comments and I'll continue with this. The reason I'm doing this is because we're getting a lot of comments in the channel, just don't know what a parent is, scripting is way too hard. How does this work? So yes, scripting, while it does seem hard, you can learn it and it is quite easy to learn. So that's what I hope to do. So let's start with the basics, okay? So today we're going to learn, or our goal overall is to learn to code Roblox games, okay? Today's lesson, we're just going to create a script. We're going to print something to the output, and I'm going to show you how to use a variable. Okay, and a variable is quite important in coding because it allows you to store information, which can be used later in your script. And it's very important because then you can reuse that information and it allows you to keep track of things. So whether it's a calculation or a name of something like a name of a pet or something in your game. So let's get started. So open up Studio. I'm just going to start with a base plate. Okay. Make sure you've got this output window open so we can, because we're going to print something to this. All right, so you just go to View. I'll just make sure, 1 second. So these videos, I'm just going to have a chat to you and go through it. So it's going to be a little bit more slower paced, but I'm going to try and keep them short and to the point as much as I can. The main reason I'm doing this is so you can learn to code. And I hope it's very helpful. So obviously if we're learning to code and in Roblox, we need to create a script so we can write our code into. Today we're going to create a script under Service Script Service. So we just click the plus sign over here and click on Script. Okay, and already it says print hello. And so print is a command that is going to print something out to the output. Now that won't show in your game, but it does show for when in this output screen, which allows you to test your program and check if things are working. So this is actually a very important thing to know how to do. And it's a simple command. It's just the word print. Okay, you can have a space or you don't have a space, doesn't matter. You need 2 brackets and 2 speech marks. And then you can type whatever you like inside this. Okay? Learn to code Roblox games. Okay, and straight away, so we've got a script, we can run that, and in our output, I'll have to zoom the video in, but in our output, it says learn to code Roblox games. Okay, so the way you can kind of stuff this up, if you leave a bracket, it's going to throw an error. You can see the error there. If you miss one of the speech marks, it's going to throw an error. So this is what we call the syntax. Now the syntax of a programming language is how it's written. So the syntax is basically telling you, okay, we must have 2 speech marks and 2 brackets when we want to print something. It's kind of the rules, right, of the programming language. Okay, that's what syntax is. And syntax is very important to try and understand because often when you get an error, like 95% of the time, it's going to be your syntax that's the problem. You've missed a comma or a dot or something, uh, and later on, another example could be like if we had a capital P, this might not work. It throws an error. So there's lots of things that can go wrong, and that's why it's really important when you're writing a script is to make sure you pay attention to the syntax. It's got to be written exactly how this is. It's a lowercase p. The uppercase P didn't work. You can see it's a different color. And even when you type, it gives you these kind of hints to what you can use. Okay, so these are all functions that are already built into Roblox that you can use. So print is actually a function. And a function is kind of a pre-built thing that does something, okay? And so in this instance, print just prints to the screen. Okay, so it just prints to the output. Okay, so again, that's pretty important to know that. And so you can create your own functions in Roblox. And I'll explain that probably in the next couple of videos if I continue this series. So the next thing I want to learn, I want to show you is, okay, this, in a programming language, when something is within speech marks, this is called a string. And so a string is basically letters or words. It's not a number. Okay, so it can't be calculated. We can't add 5 to hello. If we just have hello here, we can't add 5 to that because it's a string. Okay, so the word hello is a string. Okay, so we can also put numbers in here. But if I put just a number 5, that will work. But because I had it in these speech marks, the programming language is going to treat that as a string. In other words, if I want to add something to 5, it's not going to let me do that because I've told it it's a string. So for numbers, what you want to do is have no speech marks and it's just a number, right? So we can have 500 or something and it's going to print a number, okay? And so that's a number. We don't have speech marks for numbers. For a string, a word or something, we have the speech marks. Okay? And so another thing we can do is we can use the normal maths in our script as well, right? So we can go 5 plus 2, and it's going to calculate it. Okay? Gives us 7. And like I said before, if we had this as a string, this is not going to work because, oh, there you go, it did work. Okay, sometimes that doesn't work in other programming languages, but in this one it does. So that's okay, but it is still important to try and understand what that is and to make sure you don't have any errors because that might throw an error. Okay, so let's move on. How can we store data? Okay, so we've created a script already. We've printed hello. How can we store data? And what are these things called variables? So a variable is something you can store data in. So why would I want to store data? Well, in a game, you might have things like pets, and you want to give each pet a name. Sometimes your script can get quite long. You might have 100 lines, and you might need to mention that pet 3 or 4 times in your script, and it's really handy to just store the name into a variable, and then you're able to use that later. So let me show you, right? So a variable, you can call it anything you want. I'm just going to say pet name, okay, equals, and I'm going to use our string and I'm going to give it a name, and I'm just going to say dog or something, okay? And like if I play that now, nothing's going to happen because I haven't actually printed anything, okay? So we didn't do anything. Okay, so nothing will happen, but I can print this out. And so instead of just typing dog, what I can do is use the variable. This is a variable. I've told it it's equal to something. Okay, it's going to store something in memory. Okay, and there you go. It's printed dog. And on our print, I didn't actually say dog here. It got dog because that's what I told it. That's what I made pet name equal to. Pet name equals dog. Okay, so one thing very important in this language, Roblox programming language, they want you to declare your variable as local. Is that lowercase? Yeah, it's lowercase. There you go. See, I got it wrong. So you got to be careful there again. I had capital L, but it's actually a local. And so what all that is, it's kind of a keyword that tells the script that this is a local variable. It can only be used within this script. Okay? The opposite to a local variable is a global variable. And so quite often you won't use global variables very often because they're kind of like constants that things don't change, like maybe the main settings in your game or something that you want to set things up as. You might have global variables for that, such as the base attack strength of your characters that spawn or something. You might have a global variable that sets that. But most of the time, you're just going to want a local variable. It's very important to use this word local, even though before it worked when I didn't have it. I think it's good practice to use it. So let's print that and it'll still work. So it still prints out dog. Okay. I'll go back to our script. Okay, so we've got dog. Okay, we've printed it out. What's that, 13 minutes? All right, well, that might do for this video. So we've created a script, we've printed a low, and we've started to use variables. Okay, another example of a variable is when we're doing calculations. So A equals 7, local B equals 5, right? And then we might want to say local answer equals A plus B. Okay? And so what that's going to do is 7 is going to get stored into A, 5 is going to get stored into B, and so A plus B, which is 12, is going to get stored into answer. So we print that, it should give us 12. And so there's how you kind of can use variables. So you become really handy. And variables can actually store objects as well, such as the actual pet. So when we create a part, we can actually store the whole part as a variable, which becomes really handy because then we can get the pet name, we can get the pet. Let's have a look what else a part has. So any kind of part. So all of these things here, brick color, car shadow color, transparency, all of these things, once we have the variable, we can change that. Okay? We might look at that in the next video. Yeah, let me know in the comments if this is going to help. You know, I've been programming for 20 years. I'm only 43, but I've got lots of books and everything. I've learnt probably 5 or 6 different programming languages, C#, Java, web-based languages, you know, PHP, all the just the normal HTML and CSS and everything. The C# is very close to this Roblox language, actually, Lua, I think it's called. So it's really interesting. And basically, when you learn one programming language and you understand it, understand what programming is and how to do it, changing to another programming language is not that difficult. Because, like I said, it's just really the syntax that changes, and your whole thought process or the whole way you go about it really is the same. It doesn't really matter on a different programming language. Okay, yep, thanks for watching. I'll try and do one of these videos every kind of day just to get a quick video out there, and hopefully you can learn something and get started on your scripting. Okay, good luck, thanks, and thanks for your support. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers. Let's go.